All right, guys, on today's episode of SledTech, we got a really cool one. We're here in Riverside, California at Walker Evans Racing. We're gonna go inside their facility, learn all about how they make some of the best shocks in the industry for snowmobiles, razors, and even more, plus all the stories. You know, founded by Walker Evans, off-road racing legend, there are hundreds and hundreds of race wins that have come out of this shop, winning races all over the world. Let's go check it out. All right, so we're inside the facility here at Walker Evans, and we're with Don. Don, thanks for being with us today.
No problem.
What do you do here at Walker Evans?
I'm the CNC production manager.
Okay, so all these machines, that's your responsibility here.
Yep, they're my babies.
They're your babies. Awesome. And how long have you been at Walker?
Just over 16 years.
16 years? Super cool. Well, thanks for being willing to chat with us today.
Yeah,
so
no problem.
You said this is where it starts. So what do we got here? What are we looking at?
So this is our shock body that we use on one of our dirt shocks. It's a forged impact body. We source this from a company in the United States. The ideal thing about this, it has the eyelet already machined or forged into it. And then also the inside is finished, honed, roller burnished for us. And we start as a blank here and move on down the line to make a finished product.
So this is like the beginning
Yes,
of
sir.
a shock.
Yep.
So that's great. So this is a totally forged piece. You said finished on the inside, kind of ready to go. And then you guys machine this like crazy as it goes down the line to
Correct.
turn it into a shock.
Yep.
That's super cool. All right, so they start as blanks like this, and then what's kind of the first steps when you go to start machining away at that forging?
So here on the table we have obviously the blank that we just looked at. Then we take it and we put it on the CNC lathe and we chop it off right here and do our inside work.
On the CNC you said, so every shock is like CNC machined like one by one.
Yes.
That's really cool. And then you start kind of whittling away at, see the eyelet here and the body and you guys cut threads in it and the whole deal.
Yeah, so we have a third operation and we load it and with a live center and we turn all the outside and do all that work.
Okay.
And once it's done at this point, it's finished, ready to go to anodize.
It's crazy how much like lighter this is. Like there's a lot of material taken out of this to the forging, but I suppose that's the best way to do it. Start with one piece forging and
Correct.
Machine away.
Yeah. So we do use one blank for multiple size bodies.
Okay.
So we
that's
don't
why
have
it's
a lot
little
of part
longer.
numbers. Yes.
Okay. And why is like starting with a forging and machining away, why is that like the best way to do it rather than like casting or something like that?
If we would use tubing, like the old shocks, we'd have to thread a body cap on it. We'd also have to make the body cap.
Okay.
Right? So when we forged it, it allowed us to get away from making the body cap at a leak point in the part from threading it on and machining it. Mm-hmm. So it's a much more efficient way of making the body.
Okay.
And stronger.
Stronger.
Yeah. And also the body, the idea of the shock is superior to the shock tubing that we used to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just more consistent, more durable, more strength.
Correct.
Cool.
So when I started here, there's only 6 machines.
Just 6?
Yeah, and we're at 41 now.
Okay.
And we're looking to purchase a few more to help our capacity. And yeah, it's been a good ride with Polaris.
Yeah.
Seeing how we've grown from 6 machines at whatever number of shocks, right, to up to where we are today. And obviously we were purchased by Polaris.
Yeah.
So it's been a great ride.
That's awesome. So it looks like we've got a lot of little pieces of a shock here on the bench that you guys have set out. So kind of maybe we'll start over here. Like, what are we looking at? I see finished parts here, right? Bridges and caps and stuff like that. But what are we looking at on the start?
Right, so here we go with the bridge. So our bridges are for a snow product. We start with a billet piece of material and it goes through 2 different operations on a horizontal mill. We got op 1 and then op 2, and this comes off the machine finished and then goes out to be anodized depending on what color. This one's blue. Same thing over here. We have a shaft loop, and the shaft loop is machined on a lathe, machined on the mill, and anodized either blue or this is clear.
So like all the bridges, all the ends here, they all start as a big chunk of aluminum, and then you guys are machining away at it until it's a billet piece.
Correct. Everything's all machined from stock.
And that's every snowmobile shock you guys make for Polaris.
Correct.
I think that's crazy. I think that's something usually I think people think of billet as like a one-off custom aftermarket, you know, something that a company would do, not, you know, the bridge that they've got on their shocks on their RMK at home being all billet. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that stands out from us, that we still do that, you know. It makes, you know, some of the guys like to bling, so we
yes,
like to make blingy parts.
That's really cool. And again, kind of same question as earlier, like, why do you guys make it out of a, you know, billet out of a big piece rather than something else? What's the benefit of doing a process like that?
Well, in the beginning, this is how we were doing it, and it just, over the years, it's stuck with us. We have had the opportunity to move to forged cast parts, but we did that on the off-road side, on the side-by-side side, but on the snowmobile side, the quantities are still low enough, basically, that we can still machine them and make money.
Okay.
So that's a good, and again, once I said about the look.
The looks, yeah.
Right?
Okay. So what do we got over here? It looks like we've got pistons over here. Is it kind of the same process, like starts as a big piece and machine away?
Yeah, so we make our lathe portion of the piston here and then machine it and then out to anodize. Same thing here. This is the IFP piston. Starts off on our bar feeder on our lathe, and it's a one-off process. It spits it off and goes out to anodize. And this is just a smaller piston, same as this.
Okay.
Different style, right? Same process.
Sure.
Bar feed the piston blank, machine it, and then out to anodize.
So then it looks like we've got a big shaft here as well. It's same kind of deal, just made out of a piece of bar stock, and you start whittling away at it on the machines, huh?
Yeah, so the shaft material comes to us, and it's already chromed.
Okay.
And all we have to do is machine both ends of it, depending on what machining process it needs, and then it's a finished product. We don't have to sit it out after that to be chromed or straightened or anything like that.
Okay. You guys obviously got to be bringing a lot of raw material into the facility here to make parts. Like, where do you guys source a lot of that?
Yeah, so the majority of our material is sourced in the United States.
Okay.
We try to primarily keep our aluminum from the United States, only for that reason, because of the anodizing.
Okay.
Sometimes we've had issues with colors, with different materials, so we try to stick to one brand or one company. That way it's consistent across the board.
Sure. With Randy Anderson, and you've been involved with Walker for a long, long time, haven't you?
Long time, 45 years.
45 years. So how'd you start with Walker Evans?
When I was 16 years old, sweeping the floors and chasing parts, literally, for the race team. That's all we did forever, is build race cars and racing.
Obviously that grew over time then.
Yeah, about 22 years ago, we started building some shocks for a hill climb friend of ours, and lo and behold, 22 years later, here we are.
Obviously started in the desert, kind of building race cars and stuff like that, and then the first kind of other shock you built was a hill climb for snowmobiles?
Yep.
Okay, who was that for?
So Max Maxidon at a Tri-City Polaris.
Yeah, okay, that's super cool. I didn't know that that was the first one.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Max was a friend of ours, and he rode in our trophy trucks a couple of times and said, hey, we need you to do this. I'm like, I don't know, but here we are. You know,
Now you're making a lot of snowmobile shocks.
now we make a lot of snowmobile shocks. And then we got from there, we got into racing. Max got us hooked up with Tom Rager and Bill Rader and Polaris Racing, Snowcross with Mike Bedard, and one thing led to another, and so we were on the race sleds, and then once we got doing production, then it just kind of grew from there.
Kept growing. That's super cool. So you started at 16, you said, working for Walker Evans himself when he owned the company.
Yep.
How did he kind of found Walker Evans? Obviously, he passed this summer. Like, what was the kind of founding of Walker Evans like?
Well, he was just always an avid racer, and he started racing in '67.
Okay.
For a couple different people, and then he ended up buying his own pickup and having it built by Bill Straub. And then he went from there. He won quite a few races. He ended up driving for Parnelli Jones, won a couple championships and races, and then Dodge approached him in '78 and made him a deal for Dodge and Goodyear, and from then on he's been a Dodge Goodyear guy for a long time.
Okay. So it started as Walker Evans Racing. When did the shock building come in?
About 2000.
In about 2000. Okay, so it was just a race program.
No, all we did was race. I mean,
Okay.
and we ended up towards the end of throughout our career, we built our own shocks, we built our own engines, our own transmissions, and our own chassis. We built everything. It was a total. This place was total turnkey,
Okay.
in-house.
Full trophy trucks and everything.
Full trophy trucks, NASCAR,
That's
Craftsman
really
trucks, rock crawlers.
Everything. So that kind of racing, like, sounds like 30, 40 years of racing experience building your own shocks. That's
Yep,
what
yep.
led into
Yep.
the thousands and thousands of production shocks we see
Yep.
today.
Yep.
You were one of the owners of the company for a long, long time.
Yep.
What are you up to these days?
So when we sold it, engineering hired me on. I worked for Louis Brady and out of engineering in Wyoming, Minnesota, and I'm just a shock designer and director of engineering for new products.
Okay.
And so new ideas, new products. I work on new ideas that I come up with and try them. We dyno them, we take them to the desert, we run them back and forth. When we get a special project, like some military projects we start doing, those are kind of my baby, and because I work well with those guys. So I don't work well with most people, but I can work well with the military guys. So that's me.
That's really cool.
I just kind of do what's needed.
Awesome. Coming up with new stuff, developing new technology.
Yep.
That's really cool. So I know to say that you've been involved in a lot of technology development is like a massive understatement. What's your favorite one? Do you have a favorite project or a favorite race vehicle that you guys have done over the years?
By far, as far as vehicle-wise goes, it's what we did for Mickey Thompson Series back in the day.
Okay.
Where we basically, the whole car was handmade. We had our own cylinder heads casted. We had our own intake manifolds
my
casted.
goodness.
It was crazy. Our own transmission cases casted. And we built our own transmissions that had our name on it. Everything. Everything was done here.
That's really cool.
It's crazy.
That's incredible.
But those were really gratifying races, and it was.
Had to feel extra good when you literally build the entire car front to back, all the components, and then go win out in the desert.
Yeah, you didn't. It was nobody else's fault but your own, because we were in charge of our own destiny.
Yeah.
And, you didn't. If something broke, you couldn't call anybody and say what happened. It's like we made every part, so it's like, okay, well, that's our fault.
Yeah.
And that's what led us into doing shocks, is because we can do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we understand it, right? Sure, now we source parts and we do this, but on the onset, we make all of our own parts and we do all of our own development.
It seems like that, like as I've worked with you guys over the years, it seems like that spirit's still very much alive at Walker Evans. Like the ownership of the whole system, the whole shock, the accountability for how good it works in the snow, in the desert, on the track, whatever it is. It seems like the whole team still has that mentality.
Exactly.
That's really cool. All right, so now we're with Todd. Todd, what do you do here at Walker Evans?
I'm the plant director.
Okay, so you kind of oversee the whole deal?
Yes, sir. So when we build the shock, it's all labor intensive. It's really hard to automate a lot of things. A lot of technology, you think, well, we'll do robots or we'll do this. No, it's really, really important to have the right labor and skill set to build the shocks, because one simple problem will cause the shock to leak oil or leak nitrogen. So it's very important to have properly skilled people that have attention to detail and can build a good shock. So the important thing of labor is there's so many parts that you have to put together in a shock. It can be upwards of 100 parts. For example, this part right here, the first step, you have 4 O-rings, and if any O-ring is installed wrong, then you will leak oil out of that shock.
So it's up to 100 parts in one like coil over shock assembly.
Right. Yep.
That's a lot, and you can see how intricate it all is too.
Yeah, all the O-rings, and you have to make sure they're done properly, because eventually this will go on to the shock, and if it's not built right, it'll instantaneously leak oil.
So this looks like the beginning of a clicker assembly.
Yeah, that part right there can have upwards of 20 parts depending on what it goes into. And this is what really helps you with your ride. So you're either riding an old Cadillac or a really cushy car or a Ferrari, depending on how you turn the knob.
Sure, the compression adjustment that on pretty much all the shocks that you guys build.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very important.
A lot of little details in this
Yeah.
one part. You can see all the machining and
My mission statement is to build good shocks. If we can build good shocks, everything else falls into place.
that's awesome. All right, so here we got valve stack assembly. What do we got going on, kind of all the details here?
Yeah, so what we have is Margarita, she gets the drawings from engineering, knowing what shock we're gonna build, and she puts what we call the shim stack together. This is the critical part of the shock. So if we have a washer that's flat on one side and it's round on the other, that's how important it is. And we have one of our best assemblers in Margarita putting these together because her attention to detail is rock solid, and she knows how to read the drawing as well as knows how labor intensive it is to do this
Sure.
and do it right.
So this is, for people who don't know, the shim stack, like you said, is kind of the most important part of the shock. It's what kind of dictates how the shock works when
That's
it
right.
goes through the stroke.
This is the brain of the operation. It's really the brain of the shock.
Yeah.
So if you do it wrong, you're not going to be able to ride that Razor or snowmobile the way it's designed by
Supposed to be.
engineering.
Sure. Every valve stack for every single shock you guys make, hand assembled right here on this table.
Yes, sir. And Margarita does a great job of making sure everything's done properly.
That's awesome. All right, so back here we got final assembly. You guys got big shocks on the line
That's
today.
right.
So this is the smallest one you guys make.
That's the smallest snowmobile shock, and this is
Okay.
one of the biggest shocks that we make for Razors. This is a 3-inch diameter shock.
Okay.
And anything in between, we'll build.
So this is the front track shock off of Pro RMK, like you said, real small body, super lightweight, and then this is the back of a big Razor, huh?
That's right. So we build everything up to the spring, and that's done at the factory.
Okay. This thing is huge.
Yeah, you can do some arm reps on that. So,
Yes, you could. So we got final assembly here. There's a lot of activity going on, a lot of people working on shocks. What do we got here? Kind of take us through.
yeah, this is the assembly line where we build, like we explained, anything from a small monotube to a big giant 3-inch shock.
Okay.
We have the 3-inch shocks on the production line right now.
Yeah.
Very labor intensive. Very important to have that attention to detail to build good shocks. So
Sure.
that's what we do here. So it starts here in the body, where
Okay.
we put the body together, the jam nut. Here we put the external reservoir, the bridge.
So it looks like we got shaft assembly, valve assembly here.
Yeah, this is where we put the shafts together with the shim stack and the other room. So that
Okay.
comes here. Then we pour oil here. Make sure that there's a good fit. We do oil and nitrogen right here. This is where really the shock is kind of final assembled, if you will.
Okay.
And then it's sealed up. And then down the road here, this is where we test 100% of the shocks. So we make sure that 100% of the shocks get tested here.
Okay.
They get clean, they get spot checked, they get tested again.
So after they're tested, looks like they're kind of cleaned up and then packaged up and head off to the plant.
That's right. We make sure that we have a good built shock here. They get packaged, and we do more quality tests at the end in shipping to make sure that we ship a good shock.
Okay. Before you were here, you got your start in the military.
That's right.
What'd you do
I was
there?
in fighter squadrons and F-14s down at Miramar. I worked on F-14s, all the electronics, all the suspension, hydraulics, oil, everything. So had a great time on F-14s and F-18s. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you bring it over here to putting shocks together.
That's why I say build good shocks, because I know the importance of quality. Launching a fighter off a flight deck is pretty important to have good quality.
That is for sure. That's really cool. That's a cool experience.
Yeah, fun stuff. Good times.
Now there's not a lot of snowcross racing here in Riverside, California, but we got a bunch of snowcross shocks here. So these shocks are all from snowcross racers on our team last season. They package them up at the end of the season, send them down here to Walker Evans. They refresh them, service them, get them all ready to go for this season. There's a huge tradition of racing here at Walker Evans. That's what it started. It's Walker Evans Racing, and they're a huge supporter of our race team for Polaris Snowmobiles. So every sled that we race on the race team at Polaris is Walker Evans shocks. These are all snowcross shocks ready to head back north. freshened up for the season and ready to go. There you have it. Real deal American performance shocks built right here in California at Walker Evans. That's all we got for today's episode of SledTech. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We sure did. We'll see you next time.